This is Bubba Mackenzie, the voice of Detroit Wrestling, and I'm drinking at Moe's.
This is Drinkin at Demos, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's all so mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinkin at Moe's, where we don't quit. Drinkin at Moe's, that's where it's at, like a power bomb. We hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, always a scream.
You know, I've always said here at Drinkinatmos, just because it says drinking at Moe's does not mean it has to be alcoholic. So I'm happy to say Drinking at Moe's is sponsored by Prince Nana Coffee. The exact same guy you see every week on Dynamite, on Collision. Yes, he has his own coffee, and it's freaking delicious. They don't even roast those beans until you've placed your order. And you might be telling me, hey, Big Mo, I'm more of a tea guy. They got you covered there too. Use the referral link in the description of this video. And let's get you dancing like Prince Nana with Prince Nana Coffee. All right, everybody, welcome. Drinking at Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Don't forget to hit the damn bell because YouTube's algorithm is a pain in the ass. We are most places you can find the audio podcasts too. Don't forget about those. Now that shit's out of the way, I am excited to welcome the voice of Detroit Wrestling, Bubba Mackenzie. How the hell you doing?
Mo, it's I'm doing better than I deserve, and it's a real honor and a pleasure to be here drinking at Moe's with you, big man.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you very much. An honor to have you. I mean, sometimes I'm drinking alcoholic beverages, but tonight I just felt like one of my good old Dr. Peppers for me.
That's funny. I made a special trip to buy a beer just for this show because I said, well, I'm going on drinking with Moe's. I got to
No,
get a beer.
hey,
And
oh, go ahead.
Truth be told, though, one of my favorite things in life to pair a cigar with is a sugar-free diet Dr. Pepper.
Nice.
Yeah,
that
for me.
does seem like that would be a good combination right there.
Yeah, great pairing. That or root beer, but Dr. Pepper all day.
Oh yeah, but yeah, no, I recently ran out of the stuff that I actually drink as far as beers. So I'm like, fuck it. As long as I got my Dr. Pepper, I'm good.
Yeah, I got a representing Michigan here, the Founders Scotch Ale, the Dirty Bastard Scotch Ale here. So it's an
That sounds like
8.5 ABV. So we'll see how we're doing by the end of this interview here, Mo.
it sounds like it'd be damn tasty. Now, the thing that I start off with everybody with when they first come on is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to make the leap into the business?
Straight up, man, 80s era WWF. I'm going to be 50 this year, so I grew up in that total era. So Hulk Hogan, the Junkyard Dog, Jake the Snake Roberts, Roddy Piper, Paul Orndorff. I think like most little kids, we were probably Hulkamaniacs at the time, of course. But
yeah,
as we got older, I grabbed, just watched all the product. My dad would take us to shows. My brother and I did shows at Cobo Hall and at Joe Louis Arena. And that was it, man. It was a magical era of wrestling. That's when we were little kids coming up, exposed to wrestling, and
oh yeah,
from that point on, all bets were off. So,
oh yeah. And then I know for me, I was born in '83 myself, so kind of in the middle of that era. So a bunch of same people. I know. I never got to meet two of my favorites, but me being a fan of tag team wrestling that I am, the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, love those guys. That being a little kid, those spiked shoulder pads and them coming out there, I just thought that was the coolest stuff ever.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to ask me what made me want to be a tag team wrestler, LOD all day, every day.
Oh yeah. And then I've mentioned it before that era. I was kind of like towards the end before everything happened with him, but I remember being a little kid and this guy scaring the ever loving crap out of me, but then going back and watching his matches, I gravitate towards those intense personas. So, but Bruiser Brody,
Oh yeah, man.
dude, that guy, watching his stuff back now, I'm like, oh my god, that is my stuff.
Yeah, and admittedly here I grew up in Warren, Michigan, where oddly enough Bruiser Brody went to high school. So he graduated from Warren High School, played football for there before he moved to Texas to play football there. So kind of a cool thing. Frank Goodish, Warren, Michigan's own at some point. But when we grew up around here, our TV, we every night we did get the Superstation, so we would watch NWA, but we really weren't exposed to things like Texas wrestling or
Yeah.
Florida wrestling and any of that. So I came to appreciate Bruiser Brody more as an adult, and
Oh, same.
now like Brody Hansen,
Oh yeah.
Steve Williams, like that heavy-handed
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's my shit, man, right there.
Oh
So
yeah. And then getting into the business, I was looking up Gnosis, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because Lord knows can't trust some sites, but your debut was 97.
yeah, April 1997.
97. That was wow. I was just getting ready for my freshman year of high school.
Yeah, I was 20 years old.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm getting ready to turn 43 this year.
heck yeah.
But when getting in, like I know even now that first little bit has definitely been known as a bit of a weeding out process. I kind of even liken it to the way uh processing days at military boot camps are. It's like you're you're getting all the paperwork and bullshit done, but you're also weeding out, seeing who's like actually wanting to be there, because that first little bit, especially in training, can be a bit nuts from everything I'm told.
Well, yeah, and the way I kind of came into it, ass backwards, uh, to rewind a little bit. I worked at a record store called Hot Hits Records in Roseville, Michigan, which was kind of like ground zero for like the Detroit rap movement, in particular, Insane Clown Posse. Their manager at the time was the brother of the owner of the store and worked there. So I worked with him and got to know those guys, met those guys when I was in high school. And they were running these they called them backyard shows, but they were at their warehouse that they had in Novi, and they were running these wrestling shows. And they essentially were, you know, backyard shows, but it'd be like, 300 people packed into this warehouse. So it was like a cool show. And Violent J, Joe Bruce, the Rude Boy, in particular, they were the first guys to really get us in there, show us like how to take flat back bumps, how to run the ropes, how to do like vertical suplexes, body slams, and shit like that, right? So my brother and I, some other friends, Inferno Marcus, who is now owns Zebros championship belts, who of course makes all the belts for TNA. He was there with us doing the same thing, and a bunch of it was basically they hooked their friends up. We'd have these big funny shows. Everyone had stupid characters, and we'd have these wild shows. They let everybody in for free. They'd order a couple $100 worth of pizza and feed everyone up, all the Fago they could drink, and we'd have wrestling shows.
That,
And then from
no.
that, it was kind of like, I really want to do this. And Denny Cass, who probably his most famous student being Rhino, he was a trainer in the area, is a legendary Detroit wrestler and a collegiate coach at University of Michigan Dearborn. Would needed a place to move his wrestling school to. He had just finished training Briar Wellington, Anthony Rivera, and basically how it worked out is ICP, they let him use their warehouse and their ring for his school. And in exchange, they talked Denny into training me and my buddy for free, you know?
Nice.
And so, which was cool. But the reality of the situation is Denny rest his soul. Denny Cass was a real athlete, real man's man, you know, a collegiate wrestler, collegiate wrestling coach at that. At the time, I was extremely out of shape, overweight, partying, playing in a punk rock band, you know, and it definitely was not so much a weeding out process, but it was kind of proving to Denny that we wanted it, you know. I don't think we did anything even remotely pro wrestling for 2 weeks at least. Everything was calisthenics, log rolls, sit out drills,
Mm.
ride drills until we got sick, you know, and then all right, well, we'll see you tomorrow, you know, and then
Oh yeah.
it was never like there was never a situation where we were getting stretched or any of the shit you hear from like, you know, like in, you know, like the Anderson brothers and all that shit. Like
Oh
Denny
yeah.
was never that kind of guy, but he made sure we worked and made sure we wanted it, you know, and he taught me the importance of, you know, you gotta put the effort in, you gotta get in shape, and regardless of what you look like, you have to be able to keep up because you know you watch it on TV and you think it's oh I could do that, and like the
Yeah.
second you get in there and hit the ropes twice, you're sucking air and you know whatever else. So
Yeah. The
so
I
yeah, that was my introduction into wrestling, and through that connection, Joe basically got us booked with Malcolm Monroe Sr. For Insane Championship Wrestling. Him and At Huck and Frantic Frank and them guys booked us, and at the original Ritz, and they had the first match. It was a total shit show. It was completely awful. It was me versus my buddy Dirty Dan, and we really didn't know what we were doing. And they pretty much sent out the West Side Connection and the Cold Brothers out to just squash us without telling us. And so that was the first time meeting, you know, DBA and Tony Smalls and Brian and Chuck Cold. And they literally came out, shot on us, beat the shit out of us. I got my nose broken. They threw us in the crowd. Like they completely squashed us because we were just thinking we were killing the show, you know, like it was so
oh,
bad.
oh
So
god.
they came out and saved the show. You know what I mean? The
I,
crowd was going nuts after that, you know. And but at the end of the day, Malcolm was super gracious with this, and he was like, hey, you know, I hope you guys learned something, and we'll see you next time, and gave us an envelope with cash in it. So even after all that, he still paid us. So
hey.
from my very first experience in the wrestling business end of it, the Monroe family has been, you know what I mean, like this. So to this day, me and DBA are close, and I'm close with his kids, and I'm very happy to have been associated with the Monroe family. So that's who gave me my first shot right there.
That's awesome. Good way to get your debut. Although when you were mentioning about the people coming out there, for some reason I had the image in my head of the story of what was it? It was either they both involved the APA, but it was either it might have been both of them really, but APA and the Dudley Boys or APA and what was it? Public Enemy, where it was just come out, beat the ever loving crap, but then it's like at least for the Dudley Boys, they ended up getting the respect of the APA.
Yeah, yeah, it's the Cole brothers and the West Side Connection back in those days. That was Detroit's equivalent. You know, I mean, those were the baddest dudes around, and we didn't know what was happening. Of course, we went with everything. It wasn't that they came out and assaulted us. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah,
We went on to my brother and I went on to have all kinds of matches with the Cole brothers, and of course, I had a long association with XICW, working as Drunk the Clown and stuff. So it was never a shoot thing to me. We were
yeah,
always cool with Tony Smalls. You know, like they were told to come out and save the show. If we got hurt, it was just because they play rough, and you know, you know, as the Bump and Uglies came to be as a tag team, like we played rough too. So you know what I mean. So
no,
yeah, there was never any heat. It was surprising because we were just we knew we were stinking it up. We knew that we were sucking, and when they came out, it was just like shit. Like, are these guys gonna kill us? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because we didn't know, like, because we're like, these guys could legit come out and fuck us up, like, and even though I don't feel like we were like pussies or anything, you know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of them, and like, these are the hosses, man. Like, I don't know if you know who the Cold Brothers are, but there's some hoss dudes, you know what I mean? They're real deal tough guys, you know what I mean? So when we were babies into the business, didn't know any better, and but like I said, at the end of the day, the guys in the locker room didn't hold it against us. They probably had a good laugh about it, and
Man,
Malcolm and them guys and Huck took care of us, and Huck Huck went on to book us in IWF, and so yeah, ended up forming lifelong bonds and friendships out of that moment. So I no
hey,
regrets about it. And
oh yeah,
looking back from a fan standpoint, literally, and then having the luxury of being able to look back with 2020 and having been a promoter, like they 100%, like I probably would have done the exact same thing. You know what I mean? It was the right call.
oh yeah. But you got me thinking when you're talking about a bunch of the musical connections. It's like music and wrestling obviously go pretty much hand in hand with the way entrance musics are being used. But you mentioned Bumpin' Ugly as a tag team, but there is also the band that you had mentioned uh, before recording, that is like the band led to the tag team, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah, we had a band. We started kind of writing songs about, like, we kind of went from writing songs that were just patently offensive for no other reason than to be patently offensive to starting to write more comedic based things, or about shit about we thought was funny, just and some of that was wrestling. Mavato, the guitar player and genius songwriter, just started pumping out like one after the other these songs, like All Bluff, No Stuff, The Green Fog, It Ain't Cheating If the Ref Ain't Looking, The Horsemen Are Here, like you're just one after the other.
no, that's
So
awesome.
then we
Oh, go ahead.
we um took that, and my brother and I, when we started wrestling, basically started at the same time, but independent paths, like singles, whatever, without really direction. And then we just had the idea, well, if we start wrestling as a tag team, we can just call ourselves the Bumpin' Uglies and be like the wrestling faction of the band, and like kind of like a throwback to like the Freebirds, like with Bad
Yeah,
Street USA, and like this band called the Dictators, a legendary punk rock band who would have like wrestling kind of inferences. Not that they were wrestlers, but
yeah.
just kind of take it a step further. So that was really the thought first. So when we originated, it was basically a couple of guys from a punk rock band that also wrestled on shows. So that was our look. That was kind of our thing, just kind of bloody, thugged out. We did a lot of, that's the late 90s, early 2000s. So death match is where it was at the time, so we broke in at that time when everybody was kind of doing, light tubes and tacks and barbed wire and tables and fire and all that good stuff. So we were certainly no exceptions to that rule. Um, Eventually, we after 9/11, the whole patriotic thing kind of swept the area. Of course, that kind of swept everything, and we were trying to think of what we could do differently. So we initially decided to start wearing masks, doing kind of like a red, white, and blue US, gung ho USA kind of a thing. And we purposely made like these really old school, like 1930s American mass wrestler masks that you could clearly see who we were. You know what I mean? Because it was like the running gag, like everybody gonna know it's us, but we're these masked characters, right? And we started kind of just doing more like traditional babyface American tag team wrestling type stuff, for the red, white, and blue. And from there it took off, and not much long after, we got the gear modified at some point. Josh Raymond actually made gear for us at one point. Made we got finally got masks that did cover our face, and we started kind of, even though people around here kind of knew who we were, we started kind of adhering to the lucha libre kind of thing of not really showing our face, or posing for pictures with fans without the masks on. Or I'm a huge Kiss fan, so if we did, we would take the picture,
Yeah.
but we do this move, and just really half probably for more of our own entertainment than anything. It wasn't that we were anything that anybody needed to give a shit about. It was just
Yeah.
we thought it was funny, and it was also kind of a nod in respect to that culture. You know what I mean? Like the
Well,
guys in Mexico who we went on to work with many times, like they take that shit seriously.
oh yeah.
Like my brother would tell you stories about picking Mil Mascaris up from the airport, and the only people that saw him without the mask were immigration. You know what I mean? Like literally, like that. Like no exceptions. So
Yeah.
yeah. So we just started. Like again, people knew who we were, but and through we were also running our own promotion at the same time, Independent Wrestling Revolution, the original IWR Rhino Scab. I love Rhino. Rhino's one of my
Oh yeah, I
favorites
love
from
the guy.
wrestling. So let's make it clear. I'm just ribbing.
Yeah, just
Um,
razzing him.
but we were running those shows, and we started using them. We got a lot of contacts. My brother was really good at getting contacts, networking. We were using a lot of the early TNA guys when that was kind of a thing, when they were doing the weekly pay-per-view shows. And AJ was a very early star for us. Oh geez, like the Elvis guys,
Flying Elvis, yeah.
Jorge Estrada, because Frankie Kazarian ended up coming in, lots of different talent. And eventually we had this idea. Friends of ours that were promoting other shows, not necessarily wrestling shows, but art-based shows, concerts and things, came to us with the idea of, hey, could you guys promote Lucha Libre? Like we have a budget, we have the vision of what we want to do. Can you guys get the stars? And it was like, yeah, totally. So through that, we began the co-promotion doing these Revolution shows, which kind of got us into that world. A couple of white punk rock dudes from Detroit still don't speak any Spanish, but we were able to make some really cool connections with a lot of these guys. Some, partially because we were booking them and paying them, which turns out is helpful for professional relationships.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, we became, really cool with guys like, especially LA Park. Conan was a big help to us in the early days, helping us get, wrestlers booked. We had a really good working relationship with Ultimo Dragon. Um, you know, I've been hitting the head too many times to name them all, but the Revolution series became a pretty cool thing, and they were a hybrid thing where we would use some of our top local guys and either work them with some of the Lucha guys, or or have a blend where we'd have a Lucha main event, but like I think we had Blue Panther versus CK3 on a show,
Mm.
Truth Martini versus Christopher Daniels. We had LA Park versus El Hijo del Santo in a cage, which was crazy.
Yeah, that sounds like
Cool stuff. And one of the best ones we did ever was Mil Mascaris and Sabu versus CK3 and Abe Matson, and that was at Revolution. And what was cool for us when Sabu got there, he's like, "Yeah, man, I was curious. Like, it's weird. Like, I mean, Mil Mascaris, like, it's cool. Like, he was like, dude, like, thank you guys. Like, we're like, nah, man, thank you. But we had done some research and looked it up, and the last time Mil Mascaris was in Detroit was 1977 when he wrestled the Sheik at Cobo Hall. So we
Huh?
said, well, Mil Mascaris hasn't even been to Detroit since 1977. The last time he was here, he wrestled your uncle. I thought, and so we thought it would be pretty cool to have you guys tag team here,
Oh
and
yeah,
and so
fitting.
it's on the YouTube. You can find it, So yeah, but we were able to get entrenched in that world, get some bookings. We had a long working relationship with Rocky over at again, rest in peace, Rocky. Roman at Fuerza Mexicana Lucha Libre in Chicago, FMLL, and uh, yeah, that's kind of the journey for wrestling, man. You know, we basically kept the mask on, stayed true to that format, and had a great time with it
Oh
until
yeah.
my hips started to give out on me.
Oh no, that yeah, that's wow. Yeah, I'm gonna especially that Sabu match. I'm gonna need to go back and definitely check that one out. Yeah, very fitting. And I also remember when you sent me a video. I just had a alert pop up. I was like, wait, what the fuck was that? But you sent me a video of a shout out from going to the band from, I believe somebody was interviewing Alex Shelley, and I was like, oh fuck,
Yeah,
that's pretty damn sweet.
Alex Shelley, one of my favorite people on earth. Not to mention one of the most influential wrestlers. Him, along with Chris Sabin. I won't sit here and try to take any credit for their work. We did meet them as young men when they were just coming out of wrestling school. We were one of the promotions that they began to wrestle for when they were first starting out. And from the jump, you knew there was something special with both of those. Patrick is a huge. I'm sorry, Alex Shelley is a huge mutant. Well, as you now may know, they have their own band, Grappling.
Yeah.
Everybody, please check out Grappling. They're fucking excellent. They have excellent songs, excellent composition, excellent musicianship. It's super catchy, and your ladies will like it. My wife loves Grappling, so um, just all those years I was wrestling. I was either working at a record store or bouncing in bars, and I would run into Alex Shelley, some of the young guys during my days bouncing in bars and things like that. And we've just been close ever since. A lot of them would visit me at the record store, of course, and we, been friends. And talk about someone that's always been supportive of me. So, I mean, what can I say about Alex Shelley? What can I say about Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns? They literally revolutionized tag team wrestling.
Oh yeah.
They have proved to me over the course of now 25 plus years to be completely golden human beings who have never strayed from who they are as people. You know what I mean?
Oh
Genuine
yeah.
people who you can trust, people who you can have a conversation with and understand that these are real people that listen to you,
Oh yeah.
and not only that, man, they're writing some really killer songs. So,
Hey.
for me, I hope you guys know that everybody in Detroit was so jacked to see him finally on the big stage, WWE. But let's face it, man. I feel like the WWE needed the Motor City Machine Guns more than the vice versa. Because
Oh yeah.
again, talking about turning up the talent level, these guys, and for all these years later, to still be able to perform at the level they perform at, to still be
Mm-hmm.
in the physical condition, to still both look like they're in their 20s.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Yeah. It's
But
nuts.
I'll tell you also firsthand living proof that living clean, taking care of yourself, caring about your body works because that's what both of these guys have done since day one, since I've known them. And it's living proof.
Mhm.
It's hard work, guys. It's not easy. You know what I mean? But if you put the work in, it can be done. I'm
Oh
living proof of the opposite. Don't be like me. Be like Alex Shelley. Be like Chris Sabin.
yeah.
Be clean.
Oh man.
Get
Yeah.
your exercise and watch your nutrition.
Yeah, I could probably do a little better on the nutrition part myself. But yeah, no, when it comes to those guys, I'm gonna. I was like, God dang, when I heard about them getting released, I'm like, God dang, WWE dropped the ball on that one, give them the tag titles, and then just like, what? That's my whole.
Well, that's I try to I was taught old school. I try not to publicly give my opinions about things that happen in the business. I
No,
don't
I
have
mean,
any illusion that they're ever going to come looking for me. In wrestling, I've learned to never say never, and
Yeah.
I'll just say, like, again, for everybody, especially back here in Detroit, it was really fucking special to see them on the big show.
Oh,
I
for
wish we'd have got to
sure.
see them on WrestleMania. They've
For
already
sure.
accomplished everything else.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I could go on for days about the accomplishments, both in singles
Oh,
wrestling and, of course, their legendary tag team career.
oh, for sure.
Everything you should be as professionals, as people, and as wrestlers.
Oh yeah.
That speaks for itself.
Oh
So,
yeah.
we all have our opinions on things
Yeah,
that happen
for
in,
sure. For sure.
in companies as fans and everything, but
Yeah.
I try to save those for backstage conversations that aren't
No.
being recorded.
uh, no. Understandable, and you make a good point. They everything they've already accomplished, getting to be on the stage that is, hell, they had some WrestleMania moments right there, and I bet the feeling of pride for the hometown boys, that's something special right there.
You know what I mean? When Zach Gowen made the big time, same thing. Danhausen, I don't know, many people don't realize, but Danhausen is a local boy,
Hmm?
another person completely self-made, had a vision from day one, from the day one he began his training, had a plan, is a good person, a professional, above all else, a professional entertainer who understands the business aspect of what we do, who has taken literally something, made something from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a huge person of in physical stature, um, but the Danhausen character is undeniable.
Oh God,
His
yeah.
his his skills on the camera and as a performer and as a wrestler are very, very solid.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people with gimmick wrestlers, and I understand because I was a gimmick wrestler for a long time, like to pass off and just say it's a gimmick. But to really pull off a gimmick, you have to be a good wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
and Danhausen is that. So
Oh yeah.
again,
He can sure
Detroit,
go.
and to this day, right now, the young wrestlers coming out of this area, to me, I mean, I know I'm biased, but I could go on for days about my favorite wrestlers coming out of the Michigan area right now.
Oh yeah.
And it's always been a hot spot. The wrestling business ebbs and flows,
Oh
but
yeah.
the Detroit has always been consistent producing wonderful wrestlers. So
Oh, for sure. And funny enough, you bring up Danhausen. I I actually got to meet him at Sammy Callahan's promotion Revolver back when I want to say it was just the one time when he had a match against Paul Walterhauser at Revolver in Des Moines. And well, one of my figures I have signed up top here is actually one of his, but I also have in hand a trading card of his signed by him. Dude,
very
love the
cool.
guy.
He's got the best merch.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I'm an old school. Like again, I'm a Kiss fan, and also an old school '80s wrestling fan. I love merch.
Oh yeah.
I've been able to have my collecting ways. I don't really collect things anymore, but I still love it. And when I see like cool shit, I'm like, hell yeah. And Danhausen has so much
Oh
cool
God,
shit.
so much.
So
Uh,
much cool shit.
it's amazing. Well, I gotta think here. I haven't words are fucking hard and I haven't even drank yet today. But already thinking about wearing a few different hats, involving wrestling and beyond. One that we hadn't talked about yet before we get into a couple categories I have is you had mentioned about graphic artists.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
something I cannot lay claim to because my artistic skills look like a kindergartner trying to draw a truck.
Well, I mean, it's something I definitely, my whole life I've been into drawing and painting. So, every time, every band I've had, logos, flyers, t-shirts, all that stuff. Um, all the old Bump and Uglies artwork I did. And then from that, you start doing your friends' band stuff, their t-shirts, their flyers, their record covers. In my old age now, I don't do it as much, but I had the opportunity to work with some really cool artists. I did probably one of my more famous pieces. I did the cover for the Wicked Clowns comic book for Insane Clown Posse. I've worked with Detroit rap artist named Genghis Ganj, who's also the singer in a metal band called Convulsus, on a number of his projects. I've gotten to work with both Hellmouth and kind of an offshoot project. They're the new band Temple of Void, the mightiest of metal bands coming out of Detroit. They've given me some cool opportunities to work with them doing record covers, t-shirts, things like that, flyers. So yeah, off and on, it's something I've done. And during like when we were promoting wrestling, do the IWR days, I would do the programs, the flyers, the tickets, all the shirt designs, all that kind of stuff.
That's
The
awesome.
threat, the threat still uses my designs in yeah. So if you see that threat shirt out there, you owe me some money, Anthony Rivera, Briar Wellington, Nate Matson. You know who you are.
Now, I mentioned two categories I have here. One's a bit of a name game where I name off some people. You give me some quick thoughts on them. And, I try to theme it towards the guests as much as possible. And, figured the Detroit and Michigan connection here. Each of these people, at least at one point or another, from Michigan.
All right.
First one, I think, is one that most people would know very, very well. And I think the only way to introduce this name, RVD.
Outstanding. Coming up in that era in the 90s, ECW was the shit. Being a stoner in the 90s meant RVD was the bona fide motherfucking shit, man. And some of us were lucky enough to see RVD early on in matches particularly for Malcolm Monroe Sr. Wrestling here in Michigan on some of them insane championship wrestling shows. I know he worked a bunch of the other oh man, the old Michigan promotions, but he worked around Tom. I have to admit, I've never even met him. You know what I mean? I said hi to him once at a show in New Jersey that the Bump and Ugly stumbled into when we were playing some shows out there. Never met the guy, but again, talk about an example of what happens when you take care of yourself. You know what I mean? The guy is at his age can still perform at a high level, can still do them fucking rap the RVD splits and
Oh,
all that shit. And I mean, you got to admit, him and Sabu, when you talk about people revolutionizing or creating pivot points in wrestling, there you go. You know what I mean? Between athleticism, the willingness, the ability to take things to the extreme, the creativity that it takes to come up with some of this shit, the balls to try it because people don't understand how dangerous this shit is,
oh yeah.
and those two guys for me are instrumental with creating that entire movement, because I, I was a huge fan of ECW, so let me put it there, but
Yeah.
some of that stuff kind of gets lost in this just crazy death match, like hitting each other with chairs kind of shit. If you're a true fan, you know otherwise, right?
Yeah.
But two guys that could really fucking wrestle and do all that shit were RVD and Sabu. So
Oh yeah.
RVD, I know he hasn't lived in Michigan in a long time, but I'm gonna go ahead and speak for the state. RVD, Michigan, fucking loves RVD, man, straight up.
Oh yeah.
Bubba
Now,
Mackenzie does.
oh yeah. Now, next up, a guy that has gone by a few different monikers in wrestling, but I think one that a lot of people would remember is either Big Daddy Cool or Big Sexy Kevin Nash.
Big Kevin Nash guy. Listen to his podcast. every week. Him and Sean Oliver do a fantastic job, and I love it because they're
They
real
do.
conversations. Don't know Big Kev Purse. But I gotta say, man, we see eye to eye on a lot of things ideologically, morally, in wrestling. Met him a couple times, most notably working for Scott DeBoer, Border City Wrestling.
Okay.
Did have the opportunity, I believe it was at maybe a show at LaSalle College, something like that, where we were, some of the guys were getting a little pre-workout in. They had a nice gym set up upstairs, and Big Kev came up and sat on the machines and kind of, was, shooting the shit with us and getting some presses in and stuff, and he kind of instilled in me in that moment, that it was okay to use machines, like as a, guy lifting weights, like, he's like, I use machines all the time. And I was like, really? And he's like, fuck yeah, bro. I can't afford to get hurt. I can't afford to be blowing my shoulder out, blah, 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 or whatever, blowing a pec out, because I failed it. He's like, fuck that. That really stuck with me, like,
Oh yeah.
but again, talk about revolutionizing the industry. You know what I mean? Literally. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll give Kev his flowers all day. One of the great big men, one of the great guys on the mic. He's fucking hilarious, controversial, balls of steel, not afraid to put himself out there to assert his opinion. I respect the hell out of that. Bona fide tough guy all day, every day. And if you listen to his podcast, you understand he's a true family man.
Oh yeah.
A guy you can, look up to, a guy that's been through the trenches. He's, comes from an era that doesn't exist in wrestling anymore. So some of these young guys would do themselves a favor. If you ever encounter Big Kev, listen to what he has to say. He's done a hell of a lot for wrestling and in wrestling. And I'm pro Big Kev all day long. Detroit loves Kevin Nash.
Oh yeah. I'm big on him. I know. I mean, we'll get into a brighter connection with him, but him and I both have something unfortunately in common of both having lost a child. It was, way older than mine at the time that he lost him. My wife and I were pregnant with twin girls, and they were born premature and only made it a week. They're actually the reason I got this tattoo on my forearm here. But yeah, but the brighter thing, I have a lot of autograph collectibles that like I take and I don't buy them already autographed. I like having the thing and taking it to the person. And
Then it means something to you. You have a connection to it, right?
for sure, yeah, no, absolutely. But the things I have two things that I am struggling to figure out which one that I would actually take because, and funny enough, neither of them are wrestling related. Actually, they're actually both related to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because he was the guy in the Super Shredder getup.
Hell yeah, man.
I have the 30th anniversary Super Shredder figure still in the box right behind me. And I actually also, my brother-in-law got me into the trading card game Magic the Gathering. They have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set out. And I actually pulled out of a pack a Super Shredder card that's going for about $400.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
So I'm like,
I'm a huge Ninja Turtles mark. I'm an old comic book fan, and so I was a huge fan of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics, the Eastman and Laird comics, the black and white ones. So when those movies came out, like as bad as they were, like I was so down, man. And then
oh
like,
yeah,
yeah, and then like finding out after the fact that was Big Kev as Super Shredder, it's like, fuck yeah, man. Like that's even sweeter, like
oh yeah. I actually
icing on the
have.
cake.
Oh yeah, I actually have. Speaking of the comic books, before we get into my last two people in the name game category here, I don't know if I have them visible right now, but I actually have the copy of the first appearance of Krang, Bebop, and Rocksteady.
Yeah.
I have that one. And then I was raised on the original cartoon, the 80s
Yeah.
into the 90s. And I actually, Michelangelo was always my favorite. I Goofball nature, I guess. I don't know. But I actually, at a comic convention, got to meet the voice of Michelangelo from the original cartoon and got Funko Pop signed by him.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
from the guy that was the voice of Splinter from the first two movies, bam, one signed by
Outstanding.
him too.
Outstanding.
Oh yeah, no, those they were at the same convention. So it was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, that sold me on going.
Right. Yeah. I don't have any cool stories like that. My band, we had a band called Hurt Our Coast, and we were playing the after party to the Detroit Motor City Nightmares convention, and we were basically doing an unplugged kind of blues set, for the at the after party kind of the deal,
Yeah.
right? And we're playing, we were playing. I think you got to play. We're playing. You got to move from Mississippi Fred McDowell, and we all of a sudden like this dude walks up playing the harmonica, right? And we're like, "Who's this guy?" Right? But like he was badass, so it
Yeah.
was like fucking whale, brother, go ahead, right? And I'm looking, and it's Robert Fleischman, the voice of Roger Rabbit,
No
who was
shit.
who was there at the convention, and just happened like to be a badass harmonica player, had his harp, heard us playing blues, and then he was like, "Hey, can you guys know anything?" And like, I feel like he's like, "You know anything in the key of C?" And we were like, "Yeah." So we just laid down a blues lick for him, and then he just wailed for like 7, 8 minutes, and then was like, "Thanks a
Wow.
lot, guys," and he was out. That was
That's
it. So we
something.
didn't get a picture with him, nothing, but pretty
Wow.
cool.
That is pretty awesome. Now, moving on, the last two people I have here for the name game category, one that I've actually got to meet on one occasion, Dan the Beast Severn.
Dan's my guy, man. So Dan, the B Severn guy took a notice of the Bumpin' Uglies early on and gave us opportunities. We worked for his promotion, Price of Glory Wrestling, out in Coldwater. Gave us opportunity to go out there, work out a little bit, uh, put us over. Was always a super nice guy to us. Every interaction I've ever had with Dan's been cool. Um, you know, I gotta say I probably don't see eye to eye with Dan politically, but that I still got love in my heart for Dan Severn, a true man's man, a true guy that believes in hard work. Again, living proof that hard work, taking care of yourself pays off. You look at the guy, he looks 20, 30 years younger than what he is.
Yeah.
He can still go, he can still beat ass,
Oh,
so
yeah.
and just we our as our personal experiences with the guy were nothing ever but positive. He was super nice to us, super gracious with us. His fans and his students were always very cool with us. So got love for Dan Severn, man.
Oh, yeah. Same here.
Legit tough guy, man.
Oh, yeah. No, the one time I got to meet him, I remember being in the line and I was like a little ways back and finally got view of him. And I'm like, oh my, he was one of the people that, like, before I got to talking to him, just looking at him, I'm like, I'll admit, slightly intimidated because I was like, holy shit.
This is a brick shit house.
Dude, yeah. But then
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
to him, one of the nicest
yeah,
dudes.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I told him in the meet and greet because he had a price for, merch and stuff. And if you wanted a picture or something, and I said, I will pay for this, but I had this idea based on I believe it was one of the guys from the movie Modern the TV show Modern Family, but he had it was actually involving Brock Lesnar, where Brock Lesnar walked behind him after he said something like, I'm just gonna punch somebody, and then Brock Lesnar walked and was like, oh shit.
Not
I
him.
I did something like that, but with him. He was all for it. And I'm like, dude, this is freaking awesome.
Yeah, Dan's awesome. Side note, so when I originally retired from wrestling 2013, I want to say 2012. Um, it was both. I had nagging injuries, but I was really at an unhappy place in the wrestling business. Probably due most of the personal stuff I had going on and personal things, my feelings about things, the way business was going. Um, but I had actually, I'm a huge fan of the fight world, boxing, MMA, kickboxing, all that kind of stuff. And I, you know, been to some amateur MMA shows and started thinking, man, like maybe refereeing or judging or something, MMA, something I can get into, like that could still keep me active, a reason to stay, working out and everything, and be involved in something that I love, right? But I just needed to step away from pro wrestling at the time, and I ended up through a contact of mine, a gentleman named Frank Garza, Hall of Fame boxing referee, just inducted into the Ohio Boxing Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Mr. Garza. Um, One of my early mentors in that. He connected me with some other people who connected me with a famous MMA ref at the time. This guy, gentleman named Mark Fennell, who had refereed a bunch of early UFC fights, and was he was actually a trainer and an accreditor for the Association of Boxing Commissions. So
Hmm.
when I got in hold of him, he's like, "Who are you?" Like, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm Bubba Mackenzie, blah da da da." Like, my real name's Justin, but I'm this pro wrestler, blah da da da. But I would really like to get into, learning how to, taking the steps to become a professional MMA referee. So he turned out, he's like, "Well, who do you know?" And I'm like, like, "Well, I know Dan Severn, like we wrestle for him, like, Dan Severn." He said, "I know Dan Severn." And then, according to him, he called or texted or whatever Dan Severn, and Dan vouched for me and said, "Yeah, hey,
Hey,
those guys are cool," like so. I didn't actually wasn't privy to that conversation. That's what I was told, but at that point, it was a go, and Mark took me on,
hey,
accepted me, and I ended up apprenticing under him and under Vicious Van Swerden, and got my ABC certification from Mark Fennel, and yeah, it's kind of unrelated, like, but
hey,
Dan Severn actually had a step in helping me get into that world of MMA as well. So forever
nice.
grateful to Dan Severn. Detroit loves Dan Severn.
Oh yeah. Well, I actually slightly have a connection to MMA. I mean, not really like I personally am friends with the person, but former UFC fighter Anthony Smith.
Okay,
He, him, and I actually grew up in the same town, and funny memory I have of back then was I summers for a few years in high school. I was a lifeguard at the pool in my hometown,
nice.
and he, I mean, I'm sure he would admit back then probably was maybe a little bit of a troublemaker, and yet I ended up having to throw him out of the pool.
A pro fighter? No way.
Well, I mean, he wasn't back
That's like
then.
saying wrestlers do the same kind of shit. Come on, man. Come on, Mo. What are you saying?
He wasn't back then. But I remember hearing some of the stories of him, getting into MMA and everything. And I'm like, wow, he's making better for himself. So I'm happy for him.
A better way to direct that energy. You know what I mean? And
Oh, sure.
you know, pro wrestling can be, a lot of people find both professional wrestling and the fight world. People come from all different backgrounds, rich and poor, but they're searching for something, sometimes searching for an outlet, and nothing is more humbling than, the training that the fight game will put you through. You know what I mean? Like
For sure.
the fight itself isn't shit compared to the training that it takes to get to the level of being prepared to enter a fight. Does that make
Oh,
sense? Right.
oh no,
So
makes perfect sense.
yeah.
Yeah, that training the MMA guys go through for months upon months is just it's insane.
But I can tell you firsthand as someone that's helped take place in training former MMA guys for professional wrestling that they often think they're going to walk into a cakewalk because they're used to going hard,
Yeah.
but it's a different thing. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Like when you're asked to take, 10 back bumps in a row, and get up and, make them all look good, and everything
Yeah.
else. Like, and you have to remember sequences and not just be reactive. And you have to remember that you have to take care of the person you're with, not
Hmm.
fucking snap their arm off, right?
Yeah.
But one example of that is a guy here locally, Anthony Coleman, professional heavyweight MMA fighter, who I actually had the opportunity. I ref some of his fights as an amateur. Fucking beast, this guy. He goes as King Kong Coleman for a reason. He's a fucking beast, like heavy-handed, legit murderer, legit jiu-jitsu guy, legit Muay Thai guy, legit wrestling. You know what I mean? Like he's big, strong, mean, everything it takes. And one of the last few classes at House of Truth, I happened to walk in on new student day, and who was there to train? Anthony Coleman. I was like, no shit. And now he's doing great, as a pro wrestler. But I was lucky enough to be able to be there for a lot of that during his training because you know you develop certain habits as a fighter, many of which are going to be reactionary, right? Like, so it has to become second nature to you. But many of those things are going to be detrimental to your opponent, right? Because
Yeah.
that's by design, right? So breaking guys that are used to amateur wrestling or MMA or anything, like and getting them used to making it look like you're killing them without killing them. You know what I mean? Like, is an art, but like, luckily, having seen both sides of things, like it enables you to say, okay, no, on the arm bar, take that thumb, turn it upside down. Now you're not going to break his arm, right? You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
Oh yeah.
Don't really squeeze his fucking head off. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and but a lot of times MMA guys they'll tell you, man, when they show up to training, it's not it kicks their ass way more than they think it's gonna,
Oh
and
yeah.
and pro wrestling training, I mean, typically at most of the programs I've seen is going to be at least 4 days a week, and you're like 4 or 5 hours a night, and you're going, man, like going, like you got to go,
Oh,
you got to show, and you got to show up tomorrow.
oh
So
yeah.
that doesn't mean so if you got to get up in the morning, go to work, you got to get up in the morning, go to school, whatever the fuck it is, you still got to be ready for training at 5. You know what I mean? And we're
Oh
gonna go to
yeah.
10. Like that's how it's gonna go. So
Oh yeah. And yeah, I've often heard about the MMA guys saying that the wrestling training is harder because it's like MMA, you're trying not to get knocked down, but pro wrestling, it's like you're getting knocked down. You're taking the bumps like consistently all the time.
yeah.
So it's
Willfully.
yeah, willfully too.
and,
Yeah.
and if done right, artfully, right? In
Yes.
a way that's aesthetically pleasing, that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. That also the most important thing about wrestling. That most importantly, it tells a story,
Mm-hmm.
right?
No,
Some
for sure.
fights in the history of both boxing, martial arts, mixed martial arts, what have you. Of course, we all know of some of the legendary fights that have created some of the most legendary moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ali standing over Sonny Liston, iconic, right?
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, if someone that watches fights a lot of fights don't really produce necessarily iconic moments, right? You know what I mean? Some are boring, some end with a flash, you know what I mean? Some have no drama or build up to them, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so wrestling, it's like every match you're trying to have that moment. You know what I mean? You're
Mm-hmm.
trying to make those moments in every single match. Where
For
in
sure.
in the fight world, when they happen organically, it's few and far between, and it's magic when it happens, but you can never dial it in. Where in wrestling, it's expected,
Yeah.
right? Like it's expected each and every time.
Every time.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Now, my random questions, some wrestling related, some not. That's why it's random. So I give you the question first answer that pops into your head. First one, craziest in match moment for yourself or one with your promoter days that you were there to witness? Either one.
Ooh. Oh, we've had some good ones.
I bet.
Um, there's probably a couple I shouldn't say here.
I bet.
There's probably a few that some of the boys in Detroit would tell you about if you ask them about the Bumpin' Uglies. Let's see here. Craziest in ring shit. Uh, Personally, I probably would have been during the deathmatch wrestling days.
Yeah.
The first time getting in the ring with Corporal Robinson, Two Tough Tony, Necro Butcher, Pondo.
Oh yeah.
Completely unprepared for what those guys had been doing in Kentucky already for a couple years, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was used to doing the deal, but was not used to getting hard way color like that.
Yeah.
We've had some crazy moments, like in the band, uh, the Bumpin' Uglies. At one point, we were almost de facto banned from like basically every cool club in the city because the shows got so out of hand and the the place would get fucked up or turn into a brawl and all this shit. So we kind of had to tame that back. These Suicide Machines were gracious enough. We opened for them once at the State Theater, and when the wrestling shtick broke out, we had all kinds of. We had all. It's a huge stage, in front of 3,000 people. So we had finally, we had room, like right. So we're setting tables on fire. The finale bump came down. We had two tables stacked on top of each other, and then my brother Josh and Inferno were fighting up the ladder, like ladder match style, like up a big ass like 10 foot, theatrical
Yeah.
ladder. They're fighting the whole way up. Boom! It ends with Inferno on top of the table, on top, right? He's on the top table. We set the bottom one on fire, so it's like the human barbecue of death, right? And then Josh comes off the ladder with a big ass frog splash. They both go, crashing. They're both fucking on fire. The stage is on fire. Like guys from our came running out with like our boys came running out with like buckets of water and shit, which caused more heat with the building than the fire did because at the State Theater, which is now the Fillmore, all the wiring and shit for the PA and all that stuff is all underneath the stage. So
Oh
all
no.
like it was a total thing. But yeah, those guys were on fire. I mean, one time in Lansing, Inferno got like wrapped him in barbed wire and his whole arm got fucking shredded.
Oh yeah.
I've had matches with Necro where he had blades taped to his wrist or finger or whatever. One time he cut me from my knee almost all the way to my nutsack, picking me
Oh,
up
oh.
for a scoop slam because he had a blade on him. There was a time I hard weighed this guy Mike TSG with a pizza cutter. It's funny. I just saw him the other day. We reminisced about that. Like I hit him and I thought I was kayfabing it, and the thing like slipped and the blade really caught him and like
Oh no.
just it, like split his fucking head open. And
Uh-huh.
he went down. He didn't know, so he goes down. He's grabbing a blade, and I was like, "Dude,
Yeah,
you're
don't.
you're good, bro. Like you're good. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, the shit has happened. There's been some injuries and stuff over the years. Crazy shit. There's been some moments at XICW that got wild, brawls with fans and stuff like that. We had an incident at one of the Revolution shows where a fan got in the ring. The first motherfucker in there to fucking dot him was Chris Sabin. And then literally the rest of the entire locker room bailed out to fucking smash this guy. So, like, memories.
Yeah.
To quote the Ultimate Warrior shoot interview, memories.
I mean, I've I've been lucky enough. I am a fan of deathmatch wrestling myself. I've had a fair share of my favorites on, including I got merch from two of them. One of them, John Wayne Murdoch, got
Yeah.
got that from him. I got.
I love how guys can make wrestle buddies now. That's so fucking cool.
Oh yeah, I love that. When I saw that, I'm like, oh man, I want that. I got signed ring worn kick pads from Alex Cologne.
No, nice. There you go. That's
Yeah,
legit.
that was fun. And I've actually had Man Pondo on.
Pondo, man, I got love for for years for Madman Pondo.
Oh,
Pondo's a
same.
guy that helped us out immensely. Travel on his own dime to appear on Bumpin' Ugly shows so many times. Got us booked on Jerry Springer. Um, Introduced us to so many cool wrestlers, promoters. Every time I've ever been in the ring with Pondo, he's never hurt me ever once. Never, you know what I mean? Like if what a lot of people don't know when you wrestle Madman, he probably don't want me fucking saying this, but uh, at least back in the day, I know he's still out there fucking killing it, which is
He
crazy to
is,
me.
yeah.
But like him, Pondo will never fucking die. Um, but my experience wrestling Pondo was that if anyone was going to get fucked up or hurt in the match, it was going to be Madman Pondo. Like he was going to make it look like it was you, and as long as you did your part and sold and made it look good, like wrestling Pondo was like a fucking walk in the park. We're wrestling some other guys, not always. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, no,
including I'm sure a lot of guys would say that about wrestling me or wrestling me, the Bumpin' Uglies. But
no.
Pondo never once hurt me. He's a master of that art. He understands what it's about. He's a man that will sacrifice himself. The man loves pro wrestling. He's given everything to pro wrestling. So much respect for Madman Pondo, man. Love Madman Pondo.
Oh yeah. And actually, that alert that I had earlier was from a guy that's actually a personal favorite of mine that I've been trying for a really long time to get on, and it's looking like I might be making it happen. So I'm like, cross my fingers there.
We'll
But
talk about it off the air. Maybe I can help you. Maybe not though. I'm pretty out of the loop these days, Mo.
well, we'll see. But I'm closer than I was. So I've actually interviewed a bunch of his students and people that are doing pretty damn well for themselves there right now. So hey, we'll see. But you actually brought up something that leads into my next question, and Jerry Springer. Now, the next question, crazy or just a story from one of the TV shows that I know that you've appeared in, Jerry Springer, or there was Man versus Food was another one.
Yep.
You got a story from either one of those?
Yeah, I mean, they're, all the TV shit's good. Pondo basically had gotten booked on Jerry Springer. That was the era when fights and the crazy shit on Springer was like hot, right?
Yeah.
He got booked. It was like him, Mean Mitch Page, Too Tough Tony got booked, and like him and Tony fucked each other up on the show, man. Like they had black eyes, busted nose, like all this shit. And at the time that I think the Springer show had booked a couple other independent wrestlers, and the show's off the air now. Mr. Springer fucking love Jerry Springer, so no disrespect, but that show was fake. Well, it was 90% fake, right?
Yeah.
Is how it works. So they figured out that if you booked independent wrestlers, like, cause they booked like the Iron Sheik, and they tried to say he was somebody else, and it was like, that's the fucking Iron Sheik. Like, what are you talking about? So, but they figured out if you book like guys that from like the independent wrestling scene, like, okay, yeah, we're known by this small hardcore following guy, you know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
nationally, nobody knows who the fuck you are. But we know how to act. We know how to be super dramatic. We know how to fight, all this good stuff, right? So when they saw how good Pondo and like Too Tough and Mitch Page and them guy were, and then Pondo was like, "I'll get you guys fucking left and right," like so he pretty much became a de facto booking agent for the Springer show, like on the down low. He had the connection to producers, and he basically hit us up like, "Hey, I got this idea. You guys want to go on Jerry Springer?" And he had it all thought of. It was like me and my brother's ex-wife, and Amato, the guitar player from the Bumpin' Uglies. And the story would be that my brother's girl I was hooking up with her behind his back. So then I was the big heel, of course. That's my brother, right? And it was so awkward because it's like, she was like my real life sister practically. So it was like,
Yeah.
we had to do the thing where we hugged and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not fucking kissing her, man. That's weird. Like, but we did the whole thing. And then the story, of course, that so I'm the big heel. Joshua is the big baby face in the thing. And then it turns out she's cheating on both of us with Amato, and then Amato comes out, fucking blows the whole thing. And, and boom, 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 like that was it. So we just had to sell the story. It was cool. Like they flew us out to Chicago with Pondo for the weekend before. He talked him into hooking us up and flying us out like a day before. So we had an extra day in Chicago on their dime. They got us meal tickets at some of the restaurants in town. We got to hang out. One of the production guys got us something to smoke. It was cool. We had funny. We almost got kicked out of the hotel because we stole a fucking jug of iced tea from like the Rotary Club or some shit that was across the hall. All this dumb shit that like we think is a. Now I'm like we're total dumbasses, but at the time we thought it was hilarious. But yeah, then we did the show. We went in for a walkthrough the day before, and the producer was pretty much like, "All right, here's the studio." And we're like, "Oh, cool, man. Here we are." And they were like, "Yes, pretty much. This is going to be the loose story. Um, you guys, we got in legal trouble with Pondo because when those guys fought each other, so they were like, we want you to fight, but don't actually make contact with each other, right? Like they're like, don't worry, the security guards are going to break you up anyways." And they're like, but if someone in the crowd like gets live, like you can actually absolutely fucking text somebody in the crowd. Like they sign fucking waivers when they come in. So I was like, game on. I was like, I got a goal. I got a fucking passion now. Like we know what we're gonna try to do. So I was just trying my best to be like the biggest shit heel I could. Get the crowd. I was talking shit like to everybody. And every time I tried to get up and go at somebody in the crowd, those security guards were on you so good. Like, you know what I mean? I never got more than a couple inches out of my chair. At one point, they tackled me from behind, and I'm laying there flopping like a beach whale on like. At one point, we were going to brawl, and I can't remember. We were brawling with each other on the stage, and like Big Steve Wilkos came out to break us up, and I caught him with one. But it
Oh,
was a working punch. Luckily, you know what I mean. Like I was throwing working punches anyways, so I had to be. It was just like wrestling. I was like, "Sorry, dog," and he's like, "Hey, you're good, buddy. You're good." I was like, "Sorry, dog." I didn't mean to, really actually fucking deck you. But it was cool, man. Like we only met Jerry on the show. We didn't actually powwow with him before the show at all. Afterwards, he came by, shook all our hands, said it was cool. Butterbean was in the front row. So like during the question and answer period, he stood up. He basically said something about he made some allusion that I was gay for some reason. So I was like, fuck you, you know what I mean? I was like, I knew they were gonna get me at that point. So I was like, dude, Butterbean will kill me. But I was like, there's no way like they're gonna so I went at him anyways, like and then we ended up running to Butterbean on the elevator on the way out of the studio. And I was like, oh shit. But he was like, him and his manager, they were super nice, and he was like, good job out there, like he was super cool. So yeah, it was a cool, fun experience, man. Like a bunch of people we know ended up friends of ours. Um, we got to do the show. A lot of people from wrestling and things like that did the Springer show. And yeah, it was basically, I think, for every 3 or 4 stories that they would have, there would be one real one. So I just
mm.
remember being in the dressing room and the real story, there was this fucking hillbilly dude, like, who was, bummed because his chick was cheating on him and he was gonna fuck this guy up, man, like for real. And he was making himself see, he was puking and he was getting himself all worked up. And I remember me and Pondo just going, oh, this fucking guy, man, like Jesus, like we're sitting there cool as a cucumber, like it's a wrestling show. Like, hey, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. All right, you ready to go? All right, let's do it. Like, but this guy was like, I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. Like, little did he know, like, there was no way he was ever gonna kill that guy. Kind of funny.
That is awesome. Now,
Yeah, man versus food. That was just a booking agent through a connection I had from an old job. Actually, guy had some TV connections, hooked us up. They said they were coming to town. They were going to do a thing where they wanted a big crowd to host a team challenge, and they thought it'd be cool to get some wrestlers. And you know anybody? Yeah, I know this guy. So they gave me a call. I got us booked. Got a bunch of guys on the show. Did that. It was a full day of taping. We failed. The burger, it was like we were trying to eat the world's largest hamburger, and it was fucking
Mm.
horrible. It was like eating like sawdust flavored dog food. It was terrible. But made for great TV. Adam Richmond was very gracious. The crew was very gracious. We got to shoot some cool B-roll. There's some cool B-roll stuff of us out there, like doing like some pre-show, filming shit with them and stuff. So if you search, you can kind of find it. Amazon actually just uploaded the episode. The Detroit episode is re-uploaded, The Man versus Food. So you can
Oh,
currently streaming
definitely.
on Amazon.com right now.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely have to be checking that out.
In the same connection, we had ended up actually doing America's Got Talent too.
Okay.
And that
Okay.
was the same deal. Like, I hate to break it to you. I'm not going to say America's Got Talent's fake, but we were in a preliminary round, and basically a booking agent had contacted us, and it was, hey, can you guys come up with some kind of shtick? It was like, yeah, we're wrestlers. We'll come up with some kind of shtick for you. Like with the understanding that this isn't going to go anywhere. You're not going to, you know what I mean? Like they paid us, they put us up in a hotel room, like shot a
Yeah.
bunch of B-roll with us and stuff, and then shredded us on the judgment, like that was terrible. And it was cool though, because it was like for us, it was just a TV booking, so,
Yeah.
and
Oh
then,
wow.
once they get into the real meat and potatoes of the show, is obviously a
Yeah.
genuine real competition, and a lot of very talented people. We were definitely, it was, for me personally, it was kind of like, what the fuck are we doing here, man? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are a bunch of indie wrestlers doing? You know what I mean? But it was like, hey, it was an opportunity. One opportunity knocks, you either jump or you don't. So
Oh yeah.
we jumped, and it was a lot of fun. So hey,
Oh, I can imagine. Wow. That is something. Now, with the name of a show like I have, I feel like I have to ask this one. Favorite drink, alcoholic or otherwise, or shit, both, because Lord knows I do a bit of drinking of both on this show.
oh, all right. I cut back on the booze pretty hard these days, but I do. Am enjoying this frosty beverage. If I'm drinking beer, I like dark beer. I like box. I like amber malty
Yeah.
beers. I'm not a huge fan of IPAs. I prefer more like stouts, porters, my box, them kind of things. If I had to give you a favorite, my all-time favorite beer is it's pretty white trash, but I love Sam Adams Oktoberfest every year. I got to get
So
a six
that's a
pack
good
of it.
one.
But I like that flavor profile, like dark malty beers that like put weight on you when you drink them. So like I probably shouldn't drink them too often. Um, if I'm gonna have a cigar, that's I want. If I'm gonna have a beer, I like something with some body to it. Alcohol wise, I'm not a huge whiskey guy. A lot of guys that are into cigars are really into whiskey. For me, I do like enjoy an old fashioned though, a properly made old fashioned. I'm really with that. But if I'm at the bar and I'm drinking liquor, it's a vodka soda, old school. I'm a old Detroit punk rocker, man. Like it's vodka soda, dude. Like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I.
But if I'm
Oh,
some of my
good.
favorite things, like I said earlier, to have with a cigar is a Diet Dr Pepper or a Diet A&W root beer. Those are
Nice.
my two favorite things to pair with a cigar. So
Nice. I'm definitely with you on that. Now, last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
to understand the investment of time and the spiritual and emotional investment that it's going to take, the um, the overwhelming number of professional wrestlers never make the big time. However, that should not be a discouragement because you can never quote unquote make the big time yet still make a living in the world of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of hard work, it takes a lot of sacrifice, and it takes being a smart person. So, what I would suggest is make sure you're trained correctly. And by that, vet your trainers.
Mm.
Ask people, who have they trained? Who have you produced? Who do you know? Who can speak for you? Right? That's the number one thing. Understand that when your quote unquote training ends, it only begins. The only way you get good at wrestling is to wrestle. The only way you truly get into ring shape for wrestling is to wrestle, to get in front of crowds, to eat shit, to have matches that are so bad the promoter sends out other guys to squash you, right? Because it humbles you. And
Yeah.
you have to understand that just because you ain't shit now, that's where the building begins. So you have to understand that you ain't shit to be able to, become shit, to fertilize the seed, which becomes the plant, which becomes the tree, right? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So the big thing in wrestling, I can't stress this enough. If your favorite wrestler, especially if you're a fan of the independent scene, and you can't understand why your favorite wrestler who's been around 20 years, how come they never got a shot? How come this person, I think that person's the greatest fucking wrestler in the world. They should be the WWE heavyweight champion. There is a very likely chance that they haven't got that opportunity because of their own actions. And that boils down to something that every student should be taught in school, and that's etiquette. How
Mhm.
to conduct yourself in the wrestling industry, how to conduct yourself as a professional, and how to be humble, how to communicate with wrestlers. I know that the business is vastly different now than from when I broke in 1997. I've been in enough locker rooms to see it's completely different now. In fact, I go in wrestling locker rooms now. There's no beer cans being opened. There's just energy drinks. There are no pill bottle rattlers going around. There are people eating like nerds and like candy and fruit and playing video games on their phones. You know what I mean? Like, which is great. It's important in life and in wrestling. The people you meet on the way up, you are going to meet on the way down. The
Mhm.
network is everything. The network, that is how you get opportunities in wrestling, by making good impressions along the way so that people will vouch for you when it comes to getting opportunities elsewhere.
Mhm.
You need to continue that culture. You need to consistently be humble, be willing to help, be friendly, you know what I mean? Be courteous, be prompt, be professional, show up looking good, dress well, um, be willing to help, especially when you're first starting out with things like the ring crew, promoting, selling tickets, doing security, whatever it is. Because understand that everyone that's made it to the big time has done that. Everybody that's made it to the top has set up wrestling rings. You know what I mean? And it's
Mhm.
part of what we do. But the main thing is believe in yourself, conduct yourself as a professional, understand that this is an entertainment business. It is an athletic endeavor, but the most important part of the wrestling business is making a connection with the fans. Because if you make a personal connection with the fans, that's what gets you over. That's what gets fans buying tickets. That's what gets fans buying your t-shirts, talking about you online, and that's what gets you bookings.
Oh, for
So
sure.
the most important thing is to be cool, be easy to deal with, always understand that you're not shit no matter how big you are. Don't refuse things like when promoters ask you to do jobs, when they ask you to do things that are character based for their show. Make important decisions, make informed decisions about who you work for in the wrestling industry, but always above else, no matter if there's one person in the crowd or 1,000 people, 20,000 people, you're always going to perform at the same level, and that's at your top level
Mhm.
as a professional. And always remember that this is an entertainment business, and all eyes are on you at all times.
Oh, yeah. All great advice to go by. Now, before we go, where can people find you social media wise so if they want to get their eyes on you, if they don't already have them there, they can go about doing that?
The easiest way to get me is on Instagram, Bubba Mackenzie official. I'm on Instagram. You'll see me posting a lot of cigar content. My day job, I sell a lot of cigars, and I actually consume a lot of them, as you might well notice. Um, that's where I'll update any events I'm doing. I don't do a lot of events. I'm currently working primarily with Lucha Boom, Sanctuary Fight Club, and the Grind Time Wrestling Academy. Doing ring announcing, occasionally doing some commentary. I am, however, definitely available for bookings. So if you want any information, please shoot me a DM there. Um, Full disclosure, I do have a Facebook. I don't log on to Facebook ever. I don't check it. I allow my Instagram to post to Facebook. So if anybody out there, if you're interacting with my Facebook posts, I really appreciate that. I don't see any of the comments unless my wife tells me about them. I don't see any messages or anything like that. If you want to get a hold of me, Instagram, Bubba Mackenzie Official.
Definitely. We'll get that in the description. Want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure, and you are absolutely welcome back anytime.
Oh, Mo, I really appreciate that. This has been a really great pleasure for me as well. What a fantastic conversation. I feel like I feel like we've only been talking 5 minutes, but I know I talk a lot. So thanks for having me on the show, and everybody, thanks for supporting Drinking at Mo's. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
supporting independent wrestling, and thanks to everyone who supported me, Bubba Mackenzie, the Bumpin' Uglies, IWR, Revolucha, and everybody in Detroit. Really appreciate everybody. Much love.
Thank you. Now, my issue with this fucking button again. I tell you, see, I don't even